Yo, what's going on guys, Arekkz here, welcome back to another Division video. And in today's video, slight change of plans. I was originally going to do a weapon review today, but the guys dropped the 1.1 patch notes. Of course, next week, April 12th, is the 1.1 update. This is the update that includes incursions, gear score, gear sets, the new supply drops, assignments, all that good stuff. Everything they spoke about in the stream last week that I did a video on, that will be coming next week. And they've detailed that and a little bit more in today's 1.1 patch notes. So today's focus is instead on that. I will of course be dropping a weapon review later in the week, but for the time being, I'm going to run you guys through the most important things in the patch notes and talk about all of that stuff. Of course, if you guys do want to read it for yourself, I will also link the website down below. But for the time being, if you do enjoy this video, then a like would be super appreciated, and comment down below and let me know what you think. So to begin with, the patch notes are broken down into 3 different sections: new features, game changes, and also bug fixes. Now, new features largely just recaps what they spoke about in last week's stream, but it does give us a few more details, so I'm going to go over that super quickly and just talk about the new stuff, and then we'll jump onto game changes and bug fixes. So to begin with, firstly, Falcon Lost is of course the brand new incursion. In order to take part in this, you must be level 30 and you must have completed the mission General Assembly. Plus, the encounter itself is balanced for 4 players with high level gear. Do remember that incursions come in both hard and challenging difficulties. The hard one has a gear score recommendation, whilst the challenging one has a gear score requirement. So you'll obviously work through the hard version first to gear up before you make your way into challenge. Moving on from there, you have gear sets. Gear sets are of course equipment sets that can be found throughout Manhattan by doing a variety of different challenging activities. Some pieces will come from incursions, some will come from challenge mode, some will be crafted, and some will also be found from other sources. There are 4 gear sets in total: the Tactician's Authority, the Striker's Battle Gear, Sentry's Call, and the Path of the Nomad. And if you want more details on those, remember to check out the video link down below, because I spoke about all of this after last week's stream. Moving on from there, you then have trading. Again, as a super quick reminder, as of next Tuesday, if you then get an item while you're in a group, you can then drop it on the floor so that someone else can pick it up. And of course, if you want to do this in the dark zone, you have to go to a checkpoint to drop it on the floor. This also only works for a 2-hour time window, so if you are carrying something all day and you do pass that 2-hour time window, you can no longer trade it. Assignments are also going to be added next week, and they are effectively weekly and daily bounties, and these will cover different things from combat to the dark zone to crafting. And when you do complete these will give you rewards such as Phoenix credits and also some Division tech. On top of that, you have Dark Zone supply drops. This is of course the new mechanic coming to the Dark Zone, where a supply crate will drop into a random location in the Dark Zone. It'll be heavily defended by high level NPCs, and it's your task to then rush there, defend it, fight off the NPCs, and claim the loot for yourself. Any loot that comes from a supply drop is not contaminated, doesn't need to be extracted, so the second you grab it, it's yours forever. But of course, do bear in mind, you're in a PvP enabled area, everyone else is going to want it, so make sure you're ready for a fight. Now the next one, gear score. This is of course going to be the true endgame representation of, your power and whatnot. As it currently stands, if you look at an item will be level 30 if you look in the top right hand corner, but if you scroll right down to the bottom of an item description, it will also have what is known as an item level. As it currently exists in the game right now, item level 31 is the highest. However, as of next week, item level 32 items will exist. However, that's more of a behind the scenes thing, because as of next week's update, the notion of item level will also be gone, because that will be replaced by gear score. And that gear score will of course be a representation of your overall power, or your overall strength, so to speak. It's also worth noting that when you're in a party, gear score will be displayed instead of player level, so you won't see that a player is level 30, you will instead see that they are gear score, say 160, 170, etc. So that way you can know instantly if someone is ready for the activity you're about to go into. Now on top of that, they are also adding a group spectator camera. As you guys know, when you die as of next week's update, you will no longer have to just watch your dead body. You can instead jump between different teammates, pan around them, look around, give them some advice, of course tell them if something's coming up behind them, and it'll of course make things much more useful, especially in incursions. And finally, this is a super cool one. They mentioned in passing last week that there will be new high-end weapons, but they did not say which ones. And now we actually have the answer. There are 3 being added: the Warlord, the Valkyria, and the Historian. The Warlord is a high-end named assault rifle, the Valkyria is a high-end named SMG or submachine gun, and the Historian is a high-end named marksman rifle. But they did say that while the Historian is technically being added in the next update, it won't actually be accessible until the 1.2 update, which will come slightly later. Now, moving on from there, that is all the new stuff. Now let's talk about game changes. So firstly, the turret skill can no longer suppress enemy NPCs because it made them a little bit too easy to defeat. Recalibrating high-end items will now cost credits instead of Phoenix credits, which I am super happy about, because of course, as you guys know, if you spend your Phoenix credits on, say, blueprints or weapons or anything like that, then having to also spend them on a role, especially if you don't get the role you want and it becomes more expensive, is a surefire way to burn through credits. And given that you can only carry 1,000, it did get really, really annoying. So recalibrating high-end items will now only cost you money. But that does of course now mean you're probably going to want to think twice before dismantling everything, because selling things will also have value. Plus the Phoenix credits change that was supposed to be implemented in the last update is actually going to make it into this one, so that now means that in the Dark Zone, level 30 enemies will drop 1 to 3 Phoenix credits, level 31 enemies 2 to 4, and level 32 3 to 5. Moving over to the Dark Zone, the vendor in the church safe house, i.e. that's the one in DZ06, will now sell items for Dark Zone funds instead of Phoenix credits, and that's pretty nice, seeing as I'm sitting on about 1.2 million, so I'm kind of happy for that. Rank requirements for superior or high-end items have also been changed in the Dark Zone vendors, so now superior items, i.e. purple, will only require that you are rank 15 instead of 30. High-end gold items, which are item level 30, gear score 163, will require that you are rank 25 instead of 50, and high-end gold items that are level 31, gear score 182, will require that you are rank 40 instead of 50. And also a note on Dark Zone brackets, some people have been saying that now that you're level 30, you go into the Dark Zone and you get kind of steamrolled by people that have got really high gear, so they've now added a second bracket to split up people with higher gear. Basically, there are 2 brackets within a level 30 Dark Zone. One for people that have less than a 160 gear score, and one for people that have more than 160 gear score. So that way it basically means if you have largely level 30, 31 gear, you will be in a different instance to people that have, say, just hit level 30 and are wearing, say, blue and superior gear. So that should try and alleviate some of those ganking battles and hopefully mean that when people are fighting, they are slightly more evenly matched. Now moving over to crafting, they've actually increased the costs for converting crafting materials and crafting high-end items. So 10 standard green materials instead of 5 will craft 1 specialized blue. 15 specialized blue will now craft 1 high-end. And 10 high-end gold materials instead of 8 to craft a level 31 gold item. They've also changed the deconstruction yield of standard and high-end items, so deconstructing a standard item will now yield 1 standard material instead of 2, and deconstructing a high-end item will also yield 1 high-end material instead of 2. They've also added new level 31 and 32 high-end blueprints to the vendors, but they've removed the division tech requirements from some level 31 blueprints. Now, if you guys missed the State of the Game stream this morning, the way they basically explained it is that any of the blueprints that are currently being sold by the DZ06 vendor will then be moved to the special gear vendor in the base operations and will not require division tech to craft, but they will then add some new blueprints to the guy at DZ06, and those will still require high-end division tech. So it's basically like a little cycle where the things you might not have been able to craft before, you can now craft more easily, things like the Navy MP5 or the custom M44, and of course when they add in new things, I imagine maybe like the Valkyria or the Warlord, who knows, those things will take more to craft. Also, something they didn't actually mention in the patch notes, but when I spoke about some of the different changes to the ranks in the Dark Zone, they're also going to make it so that you can purchase some blueprints at rank 75 and some at rank 90. So for those of you that were asking before, what is the purpose of exceeding rank 50 in the Dark Zone, there is now an answer to that. There'll be some blueprints, we still don't know which ones, but I imagine they will be desirable. You'll have to be rank 75 in the Dark Zone, and some will even require you to be rank 90. So you have a week until the update drops, so if you do need to go and do some grinding, now is the time to start. Now, the final section is bug fixes, and for this one, there's a lot of stuff to talk about here, so I'm actually going to leave you guys to look at this yourself, but I do want to talk about the most important one at the top. They have fixed a bug that could prevent characters from accessing the game if they had too many items in their inventory. So, any of you guys hit by the backpack bug, effectively the way that it was caused, or at least so they've said, is that if you have crafted a high-end backpack and you were also holding a load of weapons with unused mods on, so say for example to save inventory space you threw mods on every single one of the guns you were holding, those two things combined are basically what triggered the issue. So, that first bug fix should mean that as of the update next Tuesday, after the 1.1 update is deployed and you have to download it, you should then be able to re-access the game. I appreciate it is of course really annoying that you can't get a fix sooner because it does mean that it's kind of hard or impossible for you to prepare for the incursions, and for that, yes, it is super annoying, but at least there is a fix in sight. Beyond that, there are a load of fixes to do with things like exploits, how to deal with cheaters, different things like that, but for that I will of course leave you guys a link down below. You can go and check it out and read all the bug fixes for yourself. But for the time being, that is a quick look at the patch notes. That's what we've got coming next week. Loads of cool things, loads of stuff to look forward to. I am definitely super hyped, especially for some of those new high-end weapons, and of course more stuff to do in the Dark Zone. So let me know what you guys think down below. Let me know what you think about these patch notes, some of the new changes, all that good stuff. And if you did enjoy it, then don't forget to drop a like. But thank you very much for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time. Peace out.